What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here. I'm on my balcony getting ready to head out in Miami. It's scorching hot, but I'll tell you this much, it's not as hot as the top 5 hot niches of the week. So I'm fired up to show you guys those. I'm sure you're fired up, and no surprise, we're gonna see Halloween dominate the charts. But I will say this much, there are a couple sleeper picks, so you don't want to miss this. Let's get this started. Let's do this. All right, so we're here in my screen share and we're ready to look at the top 5 of the week. Now, I will say this much, I'm still gonna do it the old-fashioned way because I read the comments last week and I saw people up in arms. Liz, we absolutely demand you still do it this way. Next week, I will sneak in a bonus video and show you guys on some tools as to what comes up as the hot 5, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the hot 5. As usual, I'm searching Amazon hot new releases and I'm fired up, girls and boys. So I'm going to head on over to books and I'm going to head on over to children's books and activity books and see what's going to happen. And I am predicting there's going to be obviously a shit ton of Halloween. Like, we're going to see so many Halloween books. It's not even going to be funny, which means a lot of you guys and girls took my advice and listened to what I actually had to say. And I'm also going to predict we're going to start seeing some voting stuff. So we're going to start seeing some presidential shit, some kind of smart stuff like that for the election and things of that nature. Smart kind of thing that goes completely over my head, but a lot of you smarties out there will definitely have got the idea. And let's go ahead and just jump into coloring books. We haven't seen coloring books in quite some time, but what a surprise. Number 2, Halloween coloring book for kids. All they basically did is stick some ghosts, some pumpkins, some cats, all sorts of freaky and spooky shit. And guess what? It worked. It's number 2. Pete the Cat is number 1. I Spy Halloween book, Super Mario, all that good stuff. Handwriting practice workbook with a ghoul, a ghost, and Frankenstein. That's obviously going to work. So it might be very difficult for us to pull some out from here because, as I said before, I've said this weeks back, one of these days, Halloween is going to dominate the charts, and we might see some Christmas ones in here too. But here's the election one that I was thinking was going to show up, and some more Halloween. Here we got a couple more Halloween, including Bluey. Bluey's in the house with a Halloween book. That's pretty smart. I got to give it to Bluey there. Whoever's in charge of that did a super job. But, you know, I'm seeing Halloween books on every freaking line here. So at some point, possibly next week, we will be very close to Halloween. So next week, I might just do the top 5 Halloween niches of the year and show you guys what I keep seeing pop up so that you can write them down. They'll be in YouTube like an encyclopedia. So next year, you can take a look at those and see what worked this year. If you don't have that time machine, you can actually see what worked this year by checking out my YouTube, right? So a couple I've seen of ponies and unicorns. This one's like pretty lame, but it's still way up there. Like that's just a terrible cover. I'm surprised that it even got ranked. Again, more Halloween. The Night Before the Wedding. That's actually kind of interesting. And wow, look at what we're seeing here. Just like I predicted, it's almost the same cover. We have Lake Wawasee and now Adams Lake. So I would seriously kind of jump into here. So I know I'm kind of hijacking the video, but let's go and take a look at what else Bass and Mike and Pike Press has to sell here, what other books they have. But they have almost every lake that you could imagine. Take a look at this. I don't even know if these are real lakes like I talked about last time. I would have to see something here and figure it out. But look, they have I Love Tubing, I Love Wakeboarding. Have no idea what in the hell these books are about, but their lake books sell extremely well. So as I talked about last time, if you not know a single thing about geography like me, it doesn't even matter. You can make up names of lakes, you can make up names of places, you can say you're writing them from space and people will still buy them because guess what? It keeps their kids occupied. So we'll just go ahead and add that to the list, even though I already added it last time, but I want you guys to be very aware that making a geography book means that you can make a brand of books because then you can just release them for almost everything possible. So despite the fact that Halloween is pretty much dominating the charts, we can still manage to find some things. Here's Critters and Coffee. I like this. This is very cute. This looks very professional and I like it a lot. I talked about critters in the past, but now you combine them with something that every parent loves, which is coffee. So who wouldn't give their kids critters and coffee? So again, critters are fantastic to make books about. I'm pretty sure that I called Critters, but in case I haven't, I'm going to go ahead and call it now because Critters could be just about anything. In that case, it was like a little fox or a little raccoon or something sitting there. Here is Spooky Rocks. I just met a cat named Spooky this week, so this immediately reminded me of Spooky. There's a book named after him. I'm going to have to tell him this when I see him next week. But Spooky Rocks, that is another Halloween book. And here is again Smith Mountain Lake. So now that's the third geography related book that we have that talks about lakes that has shown up here. And I would definitely put that down and start to do something about that. Cute Cats and Mermaids, we've talked about those in the past. Now, Falcon coloring book. I think we've talked about birds before as well. Color Me Trucks. This is a very interesting Halloween book. I talked about stained glass cats last time because that was on there, but now this is a Halloween stained glass one. And again, not a surprise, more and more Halloween books. Here is a fairy one. Let's see what else. That's not too bad. Now this is the second time we've seen, this looks like it's a third one or so, like that is looks like that. Like these three, they just kind of look like really generic Kindle books. So I don't think I like them at all. I don't think they're that well designed, but they're in the top 100, which is pretty interesting. Now I like this one immediately because we've had the Big Sister before, so I'm going to go ahead and call this one out at number 3, the Big Brother coloring book, or who doesn't need a book for their big brother? It can be sold for a lot of things. Like look at this, it's from Big Sister Publishing. So I probably would click into this and see what other kind of books Big Sister Publishing makes, and I'd be willing to bet that she makes these for almost every person in the family. If she didn't, then I would be shocked that she didn't. And let's take a look if she does. Yeah, promoted to Big Sister. Here's a couple. Here's another one about Sister. So really good job by Big Sister Publishing in trying to release a bunch of books around a theme and trying to see how that works out for her. It's probably somebody that's their own graphic artist and can do that. Like somebody like me that's a total graphics dummy and has trouble drawing stick people would not be able to do that. But if you're a graphic artist out there, then consider doing the geography idea or picking a niche and building a brand around the actual niche. Here's some more trucks. So we'll go ahead and call Large Trucks at number 4, but any book about big trucks or big vehicles that little boys love and some little girls too. So that'll work out pretty nice. And as usual, we got princesses. Here's the first time I've ever seen this, Vikings and Storybots. I like this Storybot robot thing a lot, and I think it's worth exploring. I might actually just call that one out here in a second, but I'm kind of looking to see what else I find in here. Fashion as usual. There's a couple on fashion. There's plenty of unicorns, space, good old Bluey. And other than that, farting sloth. That's kind of interesting. We've seen corgi butts, we've seen farting sloths. What's next? So let's go to take a look at another category before we pick a 5th one out. We always like to peek into diaries and see what's going on. And again, here are those simple patterns for dinosaurs and simple patterns with pumpkins, which is, let's see if this is the same. No, that's a totally different designer. But again, these simple patterns that are repetitive or repeated always do extremely well. So I highly recommend doing something like that. And then last thing, let's go ahead and take a look at something that we haven't looked at before. Let's look at Hidden Picture and see if we see anything. And again, here we have 2 Halloween books. And Where's the Pooh? So this is really cool. This is kind of like Where's Waldo? Instead of Waldo, they used a Pooh. So very creative, very inventive. And I would certainly kind of probably look into that. A Pooptastic Search and Find. It is doing pretty well, 701 total ratings, and it seems to be catching fire here. Like it's doing pretty well. It's Hidden Picture, so they hide the Pooh in there, but it's pretty creative. Like this is very easy to get a designer to actually draw just a bunch of scribbles and then stick the Pooh just somewhere randomly. Like that's very inventive, very creative, and that's the kind of books that actually get you on the top 100. So I'm going to check one more actual category. Let's go into mazes and see if any particular mazes are actually hot. And we can see immediately that there are several Halloween mazes, and these are really cool. These are little silly jokes for kids. Jungle, so they include jokes as well as activity books. So I kind of like the way that they did this, so I'm going to call these at number 5. These are not only mini joke books but also activity books that have cute little pictures of animals. So all in all it basically is a mini joke book with activity book mixed into one, and it seems to be doing okay. There is a 4-star review on this one, so if I was going to do this, I would probably jump into here and I would actually look at why one is low. So let's take a look and see why there's that low rating. I'm really curious about it. And it basically says, bad printing. The printing and ink on the pages was horrible. We'll be returning. And that's probably not the author's fault. That is clearly Amazon's fault, as I see a lot of authors even complain about the printing quality of KDP. So it'll be interesting to see if Amazon does anything to improve that in the future, but chances are they won't. A lot of people complain about the merch shirts as well, and Amazon really hasn't done shit about that. So other than that, that's your top 5 for the week. Next week, I'll roll around with some tools as well as what the top 5 Halloween books have been thus far. I'll go into their sales numbers and kind of deep dive into them and give you a bit more information about that. But other than that, let me know your questions and or comments below. I always personally answer them, and I'll see you guys in the next video.